welcome back to Nighttime, where we talk about literally everything. I'm your host, Kathleen Moore, and alongside me, as always, is Matthew Bracker. Did you miss hosting the show with me?
I sure did. This is my favorite part of my Friday. I'm happy to be back.
Well, shucks.
Yeah.
We've got a great show for you today, so I think we should just jump right into it with a huge game against the Gators. The Knights hosted UF Tuesday night in front of one of the largest crowds in UCF baseball history.
Yeah, and what a great game for it. Let's get started early. Friend of the show, Andrew Williamson, sends it to the outfield. That fan is loving it, and he is loving his apple juice. Two-run homer for Andrew puts UCF up early.
Top of the second now, Luke Heyman turns on a ball that drops into left. Heyman picks up an RBI, and Florida ties it up not too long after this.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one now. 2-2. Lex Bodecker drives a ball deep, and it's going to have some carry. It's going to go. You know he has that power, but it is going to hit the wall, and it flies away from the Florida outfielders. It's rolling away. It doesn't want to be picked up. Goofy odd play gives Bodecker a triple, and eventually that gives UCF the lead back.
Wow, incredible. 3-2 now. Costliano, Colby Shelton lines it to left, and it's going to drop in and unfortunately bounce to the corner of the outfield. Chase Cruson has to make a play. Jimenez with the throw home, and the runner is out. Oof. UCF with the clutch relay prevents a run. Great defense.
And defense leads to offense. Espinal with runners on. Forget about it. Bye-bye baseball. 3-run home run UCF. UCF is dominating number 6 ranked Florida. This team is electric.
Truthfully. Bottom of the 6th now, we've got bases loaded. Diamez Ross chops a grounder up the middle, picks up 2 RBIs, and the Knights would pick up another to end the inning 10-2.
Yeah, and Ross so nice, we gotta show him twice. Ross gets it to go again. Quick single into right gives UCF another run. Big game for him and all the outfielders. There's something about Sabrina Carpenter that gets this guy going before every at-bat, and you know what? I get it.
Oh. UCF up 10 now, and Bodecker adds insult to injury with a slow roller into the outfield. Gator will try and make the play, but Williamson is aura farming. Let it slide. And it's a party at the John. UCF is just piling it on the Gators.
Yo, the way he slides is so tough.
Okay.
Tough. But all good things got to come to an end, and Bodecker is going to put the finishing touches on this one, recording the final out as UCF beats their in-state rivals 13-3. All I got to say is BTA. You know what that means. What a game, huh, Kathleen?
Oh, yeah.
This is a very important win before conference play started. It's really nice to see them dominate such a highly ranked team, you know?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but now we're going to zoom out and look at some of the best teams in the nation with nighttime regular at this point, Mr. Augie Aronson. How we doing?
Doing good. Mr. makes me feel a little old, but
no, it's a term of endearment.
It's endearment.
Yeah.
I know you guys love me. It's okay.
Yeah, we got you. So let's break down the top 5 teams in the country. Of course, the new number 1 team with the Texas A&M fall off is LSU, followed by Tennessee, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now we each picked some teams and we looked at their strengths and where we think they're going to finish. So Augie, let's break this down. Let's start with you. What is the deal with LSU?
Look, this is a team. There's a reason why they're number 1 in the country. They don't have any weaknesses, honestly. It's not weird. It's just the truth. They're 13-1. Now they haven't really played any top competition yet, besides Dallas Baptist, who's a pretty good program, a little under the radar if you're not a college baseball fan. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that doesn't have weaknesses. Their freshmen are the best in the country pretty much every year, and you can see that as Derek Curiel, who's pretty much been their best bat, true freshman. He's hitting .450 on the season with 13 RBIs. Jared Jones, a junior, has been dominating, .440 average with 22 RBIs. Daniel Dixon's been great. Stephen Milliam's been great. But for me, what really stands out for this LSU team is their pitching. Their pitching has been phenomenal all season so far. Casey Evans has been great. William Schmidt, a freshman from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, would have been a top end of the first round draft pick. Decides, you know what, I'm going to go to LSU. He's been running up to 97 miles an hour as a true freshman. He's been great. Easton's been great. Shores has been great. I mean, this team, their pitching staff probably the top staff in the country, and there's a reason why they're number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever. This LSU team, I mean, they're just purely dominant.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like every single year we're talking about LSU as one of the top teams in the country. It's kind of a tradition at this point.
It's not fair. They're good at everything.
Hey, but they got that NIL money, I get it. But, LSU is definitely up there. Now, my team that I picked here is Tennessee, and I think that they are right behind LSU. I think this ranking is pretty solid. I think that some of their strengths is overall offense, power off of the bench, and honestly near perfect pitching. And what I mean by that is they have this trio of pitchers that is pretty amazing. Liam Doyle, Nate Snead, and Marcus Phillips here respectively pitch .61, .75, and 1.35 ERAs. They are just absolutely amazing. Doyle, 34 strikeouts and 14.2 innings pitched. Wow. I mean, if someone is going up to bat against him, you might as well just start walking to the dugout already. And of course, as I said, they are a great team, with average, and they're always making contact. But their power really comes from the bench. A lot of these bench players are able to step up in these pinch-hitting moments and just drive it out of the park. And that is really important when you get, deeper into these seasons. You have this bench depth. So that's why I think, that this is a perfect ranking for them right behind LSU.
Yeah, I don't hate it whatsoever. My pick is Arkansas. What I really want to talk about strength-wise is their depth in positions. I mean, I feel like the talent in this team, it just goes all the way down the line. But defensively, I mean, they're really great at minimizing errors. I mean, I always like to talk about this with baseball. Baseball is a game of minimizing mistakes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of games it's capitalizing off of your own success, but with baseball it's about capitalizing off of other teams' mistakes.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important. And then run production for Arkansas is also really important. But I will say the one thing I don't like about Arkansas is their strength of schedule. I think they've had it a lot easier in comparison to Tennessee and LSU and even some of these other teams that we're about to talk about. Specifically, they've only played one other ranked team this entire season, and that's number 22, TCU. So I want to see them be challenged more to really say how I feel about Arkansas's ranking.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, I didn't see Arkansas, coming into the season. So it's been very interesting.
Well,
now,
I mean, they've been consistently good.
Yeah, no, for
the
sure.
program.
But top 3.
Yeah.
It's a big ranking. Augie, now, who's your next team?
Yeah, so my next team is North Carolina. They're number 4 in the country. They're 13-0. They've so far looked out pretty great, and they've had a much tougher start to the season than most other teams in the country so far, that are especially up in the top part of the ranking. But Hunter Stokely has been incredible so far. The infielder, the grad student, he's hitting .438 with a 1267 OPS. He leads the team in RBIs. He leads the team in homers. He's been their offense all season so far, and he's been electric. But also, another team that has a dominant pitching staff, and another team that's kind of led by freshman pitching. But Jason DeCaro has been incredible. In 18 innings, he has a .5 ERA, striking out 13. And Aiden Haw, 14 innings pitched, 21 strikeouts. That's pretty insane too. But the two freshmen have been dominating so far out of the bullpen for North Carolina, and that's been Walker McDuffie and Ryan Lynch. They both have won. McDuffie's pitched 12 innings. Lynch has pitched 10. They both have 19 strikeouts.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So another team, though, that's been dominating on the mound and who's had a tough – they haven't been playing cupcakes to start this season. So as they start to go into their ACC conference play, which ACC is a loaded conference for baseball, I'm assuming that their pitching staff's already ready to go. They've already faced some of the best teams in the country. So their pitching staff should not have that much of a fall off, and they should be pretty dominant pitching-wise all season.
Yeah, and it seems to be a theme with some of these top teams is really good freshman pitchers. Now, I know that you are a North Carolina girl. Maybe you're not an UNC fan.
No.
So what do you
never.
think about this?
I just feel like North Carolina is a pretty big baseball state. It's no Florida, it's no Texas, it's no Louisiana, obviously, but I don't know, baseball, a lot of North Carolina baseball players want to stick to North Carolina schools. That's where they grew up. So a lot of these guys have been around these communities, around these organizations for a long time.
Yeah, no, it's definitely important to recruit in your state. But finally, we're going to talk about Georgia here. Obviously, Georgia is an SEC powerhouse, and that is no different when it comes to baseball. Some of their strengths, I think, include their contact, and another is, drawing walks when they get up to the plate, selfless batting, and good bullpen depth. This is a team that has, so many players with over 15 hits so far on the season, and the season just started, right? But you also see a lot of guys with a lot of walks. This team is one of the highest in the country in drawing walks, and I think that just goes to show that they are getting ahead in counts, and that is so important when you're getting into, some of these games. But another thing that I really think speaks to their success is their depth in their bullpen. And I know we talked about depth so far being an important part of team success, but This bullpen is amazing. There are so many guys who are pitching under like 2.5 in this bullpen. Someone I want to shout out actually is Mr. Brian Curley. He is a relief pitcher for them, a junior, and this guy he commands the strike zone. He's really just a talent. And he had a little viral moment. I know, Augie, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a sicko out there on the mound.
He's a little bit of a psycho for sure.
He's their closer. Closers are psychopaths.
But if you don't know what I'm talking about, bottom of the game, like
Look it up.
Two outs. He turns the runner on second, just goes, throws him out. It was insane.
Yeah, and then he throws the strikeout pitch to end the game.
Yeah. So
I mean, the guy's a sicko.
This team is electric, and I think that they will end pretty high up there. I think they'll make a good run. But
Yeah.
we are going to take a look back at our Knights. At the time of recording, the Knights are sitting at 9-3, and I think we're looking pretty good, entering conference play against BYU on the 13th. Augie, what do you think are some of UCF's own strengths and weaknesses, and how do we stack up against some of these top teams in the country?
Well, we know how we stack up against some of these top teams in the country. We just, like you were talking about earlier, BTA to Florida. That doesn't happen by accident. So I think we stack up pretty well. But what did we talk about in the first part of this segment? Dominant bullpens. And that is what UCF has. I mean, we saw it against Florida. Our starter didn't last very long. I think we pulled them in the second inning.
Yeah.
Our bullpen came in and they shoved and they locked it down. We gave up one run since the starter got pulled. So, I mean, our bullpen has been incredible all season. But I also want to touch on, too, Billy Beane. If you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, you know what I'm talking about. He would love this team. This team just gets on base. We're not the biggest power hitting team. We don't have that many home runs. But what do? We walk and we get on base. Espinal, guy's hitting over 500. It's ridiculous. He's with a 630 on base percentage. Ross, he also gets on base. These guys walk so much. It's incredible. I mean, we're always causing havoc out there. But, yeah, I think we stack up pretty well because we get on base and we have a dominant bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the season's still young. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens. But, Augie, thanks for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure. But we will see you in the next segment where we're going to go over the rundown.
Hello. So I guess the crew's getting ready for the next segment on one of our amazing shows. I'm Nick Cohen, host of Season 20 of Hitting the Field, and let me tell you about those amazing shows. On behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content, but I'm here to tell you about everything else we offer here at the network. Mondays at 4, HTF Bets goes live for Season 10 with 3 gamblers that, although it may not always seem like it, are here to help us all earn a little bit of extra money while we watch sports. Diego Ortiz, Tyler Brownrigg, and Andrew Gregg's ball knowledge and fun personalities make this show a fan favorite. On Tuesdays, you all loved it, so we brought it back for Season 2. It's Girls Got Game, hosted by Frankie Noble, a show blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next is everyone's favorite sports podcast, The Combine, hosted by who other than Ty Patton, an easygoing, conversational, and technical podcast dropping Wednesdays, also on Spotify at The Combine. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for the network's main show, Season 20 of Hitting the Field, hosted by me. Here, we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure. We love some football, basketball, hockey, F1. We also cover baseball, soccer, and we even have to show the UFC love sometimes. Penultimately, TGIF, because Friday is nighttime, hosted by Kathleen Moore and Matthew Bracker. Season 8 of Nighttime is where you'll turn to for all things March Madness, UCF sports, and other collegiate events. We're ending with something brand new. HTFN has never had 6 shows running at once. Also filmed in our new podcast studio is HTFC, hosted by Edgar Rodriguez and Patrick De Leon. Football, or soccer in America, is the most popular sport in the world. Across multiple leagues and cups, soccer is a year-round sport, and HTFC is your news source to stay updated. Also on Spotify, by the way, at HTFC. Outside of our 6-show roster, be sure to tune in to our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog, run by our vlog squad of Brianna St. Jean, Michaela Croker, Ashley Rowe, and Ben Huber. Make sure to follow us on our social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and X to stay updated on all HTFN news. Remember to subscribe right here on YouTube, leave a like and comment. And with that, I think we're ready for your next segment. I'm Nick Cohen. Thank you for your continued support, and back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And welcome back to the rundown. And hopefully we'll be a little more locked in than we were last time. But let's be honest, we probably won't.
Yeah.
But it's time to get right into it. Let's start off with Rick Pitino. Is he the GOAT of college basketball? I don't think so, but St. John's is on a tear right now. 26-4 on the season, ranked 6th in the country. Looking really good.
Yeah, I mean, they have one of the, their first Big East regular season title in over 40 years. Rick Pitino really came in and changed the culture surrounding this school. It's been really impressive to see. And honestly, he's done this with
every school.
Every single school. This guy has been around since 1975.
Insane
he has
work.
Tons of experience everywhere. He's coached at so many different colleges. He's coached in the NBA, and he's even coached overseas in Greece, which I had no idea about before this morning. It's actually insane.
He's actually been Coach of the Year 10 different times in 5 different college basketball conferences.
I mean,
do you have any idea what kind of feat that is?
He's putting up some LeBron numbers when it comes to coaching, but is he the GOAT?
I mean, I don't think I can put anyone over Coach K and Roy Williams.
Yeah, I have to. I definitely do agree with you, but he's definitely up there. Still, a testament to his longevity for sure. Now, the Combine was, this last week, and UCF had a couple players who participated.
Yeah.
We'll start talking about B.J. Adams here.
Probably the worst performance.
Yeah, but, we can't all be perfect.
No.
He had a 6.00 prospect grade, but his Combine was not it.
No.
A scout said that he likes the size and the swagger, but he sees him as more of a developmental cornerback. His technique needs a lot of work. And here's R.J. Harvey. This photo might be a little, not to proportion, but what are you going to do? Then we have Mac McWilliams, and he had a pretty solid Combine. He ranked 15th among cornerbacks with athleticism.
Yeah, not bad actually. A 73 athleticism score, pretty good, but we're moving to Kobe Hudson now. He ranked 36th out of all wide receivers that participated in the Combine, the 4.57 40-yard dash. A lot of his weaknesses, they said that he was upright and loses tempo at his break points, below average route running, which isn't ideal. It brings contested catches.
And of course, you just saw R.J. Harvey now, a 4.41. He ranked 4th amongst all running backs. And not only that, he benched 16 reps, so this guy is strong. But we are going to move on here to, we're going to talk about some crybabies, okay? Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter.
Let me have
they've been in the news lately more than they normally have.
I know, they're always in the news for something because they're divas. Oh my gosh, they're the biggest divas I've ever seen in my entire life. Josina Anderson, the NFL insider, says sources have referred to Shedeur Sanders as coming off brash and arrogant in his team interviews and made his assessment known to a number of people, with some people saying he might fall to the end of the first round. I mean, I know that he's already fallen out of the top 5. At this point, he keeps lowering his draft status. His value is going down every time he opens his mouth. Teams are already saying that he could be a culture killer, and he's not even involved with any teams yet.
Look.
Refusing to throw? That's
I don't
crazy.
think that he is going to follow the top 5. This is not a strong quarterback class. I just can't see it. But, let's move on to Travis Hunter. He said that his job as a two-way player is actually harder than Shohei Ohtani's as a two-way player.
That's a crazy word.
I'm sorry. There's just no way. There's just no way. 162 games versus 16. Come on. Be for real.
Moving on to the UCF seniors. Senior night was just a few nights ago for UCF basketball. We had Darius Johnson, who scored 36 points on senior night. Insane career high. What a way to end his career at UCF. Benny Williams and Depot Coleman, though, not so much of a good showing. 0 points, 1 rebound, 3 points and 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
But
hey, look, they got lost in the sauce of, senior night. But
hey, we won, though.
That's all that matters, getting that W.
Truthfully, I don't care.
83-70. It was a great way to end the regular season. And honestly, a great way to end. Well, not that it's over, because
no, definitely not over yet.
NIT bound. Let's,
Hey,
but Darius Johnson, I mean, this game just speaks to his legacy at UCF as one of, honestly, the best to ever play for our school. It's going to be really sad trying to replace him.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard replacing him.
I mean, he is the UCF basketball culture at this point. So it's hard to picture a team at UCF without Darius Johnson on it, since I've been in school at least.
Exactly.
But why don't we move to our last subject for the rundown, and that is UCF softball. They start conference play Friday against number 4 Arizona, but the Black and Gold sit currently at number 23 in the nation in the most recent rankings released Monday. This is the team's highest ranking since 2022. That season would culminate in a 49-14 14 record and the first NCAA Super Regional berth in program history. So
yeah, I mean,
it's looking pretty good.
It's been a great season so far, and these players are electric. And honestly, we owe a lot of that to our pitchers. Isabella Vega with a career-high 11 strikeouts the other night. I mean, you know, she's a freshman, so I guess it's more of a season high. Her career is just getting started. But still, absolutely, she got something fire. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, but some other offensive standouts were Mertez and Humphreys. They both recorded averages of at least .400 in their 6 games, with Mertez slugging her second home run in UCF's 6-0 shutout win over the Ospreys.
Yeah, UCF enters conference play 17-7-1. And this is where the season really starts, entering Big 12 play. Oh, we're out of time. I think that's one of the first times we got cut off.
We were so excited talking about UCF softball.
It's going to be fun to see. But that does it for this week's rundown. When we come back, a look at Women's March Madness. See you in a minute.
You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SIMTE at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SIMTE for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SIMTE at UCF.
And welcome back to Nighttime. March is here, and thus the madness follows. And while Selection Sunday is still a little ways away, we wanted to get a head start on the action and talk about our favorites and teams we think can make some noise come turning time. But first, we got to talk about the Irish elephant in the room, and to do so, we have a nighttime season debut. And if you've been watching HTF for a while now, you're going to know who this one is. Finally, back in studio, Kiersten Blaylock, HTF legend. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, what an intro. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back. And I'm so excited to talk about women's college basketball here on Nighttime because it's something I'm a big fan of. So.
Yeah, well, we are very happy to have you back.
Absolutely.
Now, let's get right into it with Notre Dame. What do you think has caused Notre Dame's back-to-back losses? Because a couple weeks ago, they were clear favorites for number one with Texas gaining on them. Now, the Irish aren't getting any number one votes from the AP. So what do you think is going on over there?
I think, so the nature of women's college basketball, especially we've seen in the past few seasons, it's so competitive. It's one of the most competitive sports on television. So I'm not shocked that they've had this little dip in wins, and unfortunately it is causing their number one spot. But I think realistically they're losing because they're they're struggling to close out games. We've seen in their loss against NC State and against FSU, they're having long stretches that they're not scoring. And when you're not scoring, the other team is. And I think that's really what's kind of holding them down. They're also kind of struggling at their three-point shooting game, where in the 2 games that they've lost, they've shot 11 for 40, which is a little bit over than 25%. And when you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but apparently you also miss 73% of the ones that you do under pressure. So they're kind of inefficient, but they came out so strong, and they've had this pattern that they followed similarly in the beginning of the year, where they were winning and then they lost 2 games and then they went on a long win streak. So I would think that if the pattern continues, they're about to go for another good win streak with a relatively strong team.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate this take whatsoever. I mean, you said it already. This is just the nature of women's college basketball. I don't think we can count Notre Dame out just yet because, I mean, most of these losses, they're not to bad teams. I mean, they lost to NC State. NC State is a good basketball team. I'm going to talk about them in a few minutes.
Yeah. But what about FSU?
I mean, okay. I think it's just the Notre Dame curse now for their sports programs where they have to have one crappy loss on the season. But I mean, you never know what could happen. This is a very unpredictable
It's
sport.
March.
Tournament play is about to start. I mean, and anything can happen in that situation. But Kiersten, who is your favorite to win Women's March Madness, along with a dark horse?
I am so excited. I'm going to start with my fave. I'm picking a consistently high-scoring team who wins by a lot and loses by a little. I'm talking about UConn. Gonna list off some of their big strengths. They have the highest field goal percentage, 51.2, and they're the only team that's shooting above 50%. They're also the highest team in point differential, so they're winning by the most points. And they're 4 points above second place, which is Texas, who's at 25%. UConn is at like 29-ish. And we see how favorited Texas is right now. And then they're the sixth best in fouls per game. There are only 5 points that allow fewer free throws in them. And, realistically, they are a consistent team and they're a good team. Their individual players are really good. Paige Bueckers, this is her senior year, her season. And I think they really want to get her a ring before she goes off to the WNBA. But she's averaging over 2 steals a game, and she's not the only one on that team who is. And 5 of their players are averaging over a steal a game. So they've got good people on both sides.
No, absolutely. And I think we're actually going to do all of our favorites to win first, and then we'll move to our dark horses. But Kiersten, me and you actually wanted to talk about the exact same 2 teams. So I'm going to be talking about South Carolina because I feel like you can't talk about women's basketball without UConn and South Carolina, so had to throw them in there. But South Carolina has been like truly a dominating force this season. I know they had that one not so great loss of like 35 points, which wasn't ideal.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, no. We're talking about the good things right now. But Dawn Staley is truly, I think the greatest women's college basketball coach, probably of all time. I mean, her record speaks for itself. I mean, they're 27-3. They're first in the SEC, which being first in the SEC in itself is already a giant feat because apparently the SEC is good at literally everything these days with all that money they've got laying around.
Well.
But I honestly think that South Carolina is still a huge contender, and I'm very excited to see what they do going into SEC tournament play, which actually I think literally starts today. Or well, by the time you see this, the first game will have been played. I think it literally it started 2 minutes ago for reference.
There we go.
So Matthew, we'll move to your pick.
Yeah, I like your pick for sure,
Thank
but
you.
I don't think that is going to be the winner. I think it's going to be USC, and I will tell you why. Juju Watkins. Oh my God. I mean, Juju Watkins is insane. This season she is averaging 24.5, almost 7 rebounds a game, and about 4 assists a game. She can get it done and like any aspect of the court. It's actually insane. And she's just a sophomore. She's so young. And USC is rolling right now, 26-2, first in the Big Ten. This is a team I think can go really deep. This is a great scoring team. I think that this is just an all-around amazing team. They have some really great wins, and they've won like 7 or 8 games straight entering conference or the championship, which is something you love to see because teams who enter these, tournaments hot, they're gonna stay hot. So I'm picking USC to win it here. That's my favorite.
I'm not going to agree with your take.
Oh, okay.
I personally think me and Kiersten are going, I think it's going to be UConn and South Carolina at the end of the day.
That's the final? That's the tournament?
I feel like that's a good take.
I agree. Thank you so much, Kiersten. It's so nice. It's so nice to have you. It's so nice to have you. But I think we're going to move now into our dark horse picks. So Kiersten, why don't we start with you?
Okay. So my dark horse pick, and let me put this out there. Because of the competitive nature of basketball, are any of these picks really dark horse? Because it could change at any moment. But I picked Ohio State to talk about another team in the Big Ten. They're consistently facing a lot of good competition, and while they're not shining stars, they're holding their own, and I think in such a competitive sport, that's what you need. You need a consistent team who's good. Now, when they play the best of the best, when they play UCLA and USC, they're losing, but they're putting up a good fight. But then when they're playing ranked opponents in their kind of range, the 5 to 25 range, they're 4 for 5 against those teams. And they're also top 20 in point differential, top 15 in scoring. So it's not like it's a shot in the dark to be Ohio State could make it potentially all the way. I do think they need to get better at free throws because that's where they're lacking right now. But I do think Ohio State is a good team to root for if you want a solid team that has potential to go all the way.
Yeah, I like this take a lot. I'm actually going to move into another one that it's also okay, if you're outside of the top 5, I think it could be considered a dark horse personally.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going NC State. They're ranked number 7.
Come on.
Guys, leave me alone.
No,
Keep
keep
going,
going.
keep
Thank
cooking.
you. Thank you.
You're cooking.
NC State is ranked number 7 right now, and we've seen how North Carolina State can perform in ACC tournament play. We've seen how they perform in March Madness play as well. I mean, we have Isaiah James, the guard. She's averaging 18 points per game right now, which is pretty incredible for her. And then Madison Hayes is averaging 7.1 rebounds per game, which defensively, if you're grabbing all of these rebounds, and they're like defensive rebounds, it's not like they're grabbing their own missed shots. Like this team knows how to put up points. They know how to score. I think they have all of the tools to have a great run at the ACC tournament. I just don't, like, I think that people are only talking about Texas right now. They're talking about South Carolina. They're talking about UConn, but not a lot of people are talking about NC State. So I wanted to talk about them, gosh darn it.
Oh, I think it's good.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
a little bit of bias, you don't think?
What? No.
Everything
My
is
dad totally
biased.
didn't go to college there.
For sure.
Like, totally not.
We'll move on to my dark horse. It's Tennessee, and they've had a pretty solid season. They're ranked 18th, so a little different than 7th in the
All
country.
right.
22 and
Okay.
8, 8th in the SEC. This is a team that I think is I think they're a sleeper, right? I think they're a very quiet team, but I think that they could sneak up on some teams in March Madness. Cooper's a bucket, Jules Spears a bucket, Z Spearman's a bucket, and they're a very solid defensive unit too. So yeah, I don't know. I like Tennessee, but it's time to get into our Game of the Week pick.
Oh, do it, put it on, put it on.
I think
put it
you guys
on.
have been waiting for this one.
Put it on, put it on, put it on, put it on.
That's right. The
Oh.
chicken
Yes.
hat gets us all in the
Yes.
end. Ah!
Yes. Yes.
I lost last Game of the Week, so here we are.
Thank you.
But
so much.
the Game of the Week this week is Auburn and Alabama men's basketball. I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'll pick Alabama. Yeah, I'll pick. I just don't even want to talk about it. I'm so upset. I'll pick Alabama.
See, it's hard to wear the chicken hat and then speak and like see yourself in the monitor while you're trying to talk about something
I'm looking at
serious.
myself right now. I think I look pretty good.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go Auburn on this because me and Matthew can never agree on anything.
Yeah.
Number 1 team in the country. I'm not going to bet against them this time because last time I did bet against them and they won.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Kiersten, who do you think is going to win this one?
I just want to say I'm so happy to be here on the first time that you have to wear the chicken hat. Because
Historic.
Happy Women's History Month,
Happy
everyone.
Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History.
And not to bet against you, Matthew, but I'm also going to take sides with Kathleen here, and I'm going to go for Auburn. She kind of sold me on it before the show, and you know what? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We'll see what happens. One thing is for sure, March Madness can't come soon enough. But that's going to do it for this episode of Nighttime. Thank you so much for coming on, Kiersten. Love to have you.
Yeah.
But we will be back next week to talk all things college sports. Until then, I'm Matthew Bracker alongside Kathleen Moore. Have a good one.